This is Fred with Electrek, and I just bought this Model X for $30,000. I know what you're thinking. Is there a catch? You can bet there is. I'm gonna tell you all about it in this video. So I think this car might be the cheapest Model X ever, at least a functioning one, because this car is actually working. It's not a salvage title or anything like that. The reason why it's so cheap is because it also might be the highest mileage Model X ever. We're talking about a vehicle with over 400,000 miles on it. Now, the Model X only came out in 2016. That car is a 2016 and it has 400,000 miles on it. The reason why it has such a high mileage? This vehicle was owned by Tesla, a service of rental cars that was only using Tesla vehicle and a taxi service between San Diego and here in Los Angeles. So these guys racked up over 400,000 miles on this car before selling it. And now they sold it to me for fairly cheap. Let's see why. So as you can imagine, there's some little dings and scratches on it. That's pretty normal for 400,000 miles. But it's not that bad really for a car that got such a high mileage. If we get closer, it's also pretty dirty. We haven't washed it, and I put probably 300 miles on it over the last week. So don't worry about the dirt on it. But you can see some bigger scratch around the wheels here, around the door handles. People, even though you don't need keys to open it, people are still scratching it up here. But for the most part, it still holds up pretty well aesthetically speaking. What I'm sure a lot of people want to know about is how some of the more high-tech features of the Model X are holding up after such high mileage. For example, the Falcon Wing doors. As you can see, they're still working pretty well. And the other one too. Even some of the self-presenting doors or self-opening doors. So that's some of the things that we thought we could break pretty easily, and they do sometimes, but in this case, they're still working pretty well. As for the battery pack and the powertrain of it, this car is a 2016, and back then Tesla was offering 8 years unlimited mileage warranty. So this car is actually still on warranty, not bumper to bumper, but for the powertrain. The rest of the car, like the Falcon Wing doors, if they break, that's on me. But the powertrain is still under warranty for another 4 years on that car. And they already got a battery pack replacement after 325,000 miles. So right now, the battery pack that's on this has only 70, well, I say only, it's still decent mileage, but 75,000 miles on it. And the degradation on it is fairly minimal. We're talking about still over 220 miles of range on a full charge. Back when this car was new, because this car, if you follow me, is a Model X 90D, which is a discontinued version of the car. They don't sell a 90 kilowatt hour battery pack anymore. The Model X now has a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. But back then that would give you about 240 miles of range. As for how the interior of the Model X held up after 400,000 miles, and also keep in mind, this has been used as a taxi service basically, so a lot of people getting in and out of the car, which is already why it's impressive that the Falcon Wings door are still holding up pretty well. The interior also got a lot of use. So this is black interior configuration with black perforated leather, and surprisingly there's a lot of wear on it. But for the most part, I think it's holding up pretty good, especially the back seat. There's some scratches on the back of the seats and on the sides, but it's nothing too bad. Things that can mostly be repaired without too much of a cost. Though you cannot sell this as new, obviously. It would need a full new real upholstery. But for the most part, I'm fairly impressed. On the front seat, unsurprisingly, there's more use. The sides of the seats are getting some markings, and the inside are some cressing on the inside that are pretty significant. But it's not something that I'm mad at for the price, that's for sure. That's for the interior finishes of the car, like the leather, the upholstery. There's some scratches, but that's to be expected after 400,000 miles. But there's some also high-tech features in the interior of the car, much like the Falcon Wing doors. The seat, the second row seat themselves, they're kind of thing of beauty. Like they are very well framed within the Falcon Wing doors on this Y-shaped stand here, which is completely electronic powered, and these still work very well. The both seats move at the same time when you press it back, because this is a 6-seater configuration, so you have a full back seat in the back, and the back seat is holding up pretty well because as you can imagine, it's probably what got the less used during those 400,000 miles. It's a bit dirty right now. I haven't cleaned the car yet. I apologize for that. But yeah, we're talking about really no issues in terms of the important stuff, the electronics, the power, everything that's powered by electronics, really. So I'm fairly sure that this is the cheapest Model X ever, or even one of the cheapest Tesla vehicles ever. And I'm talking about a vehicle that actually works. I mean, I'm driving it right now. I put 300 miles on it in the last week alone. This is not a salvage car. This is an actual car. I got it for so cheap just because it's such high mileage. And mostly everything works on it. There's some things that are not great, of course, mainly the suspension. It's still on the original suspension. After 400,000 miles, as you can imagine, it gets a bit stiff. So that's something I'm gonna look into, maybe try to repair it for cheap with used parts, because of course I don't want to put too much money on such a high mileage car. We just want to try to push it as far as we can, and while it's still usable. So this video was more a superficial look at it, just to give you guys an idea of how the car is holding up right now after 400,000 miles. But we want to do a whole series about it and go deeper dive in specific aspect of the car, because it's such a unique vehicle. There's not that many electric cars out there with such high mileage. So if you have specific question, make sure to let us know in the comment section below. We're going to do articles on them, Electrek, to see what you guys are more excited about knowing. We're going to do more videos on it on the YouTube channel on Electrek, so make sure to subscribe to see the next one, because it's going to come up soon. See you next time.